In this video, I'm going to talk a little about a visualization, a data visualization that I created using Tableau software. And I was lucky enough to have this visualization selected as a Tableau Viz of the Day on May 6th, 2015. And I called this Fishing in the Mitten. Basically what this is a visualization that I created by taking data that was available from the Michigan DNR. They have a program where if you catch a species of fish above a certain threshold that's distinct for each type of fish, then you can submit a form to the DNR that say, I caught this fish on this date in this lake using this kind of lure. And then the DNR, Department of Natural Resources, takes that information and puts that into a database. And I'm sure they use that to look at health of lakes, and but also it gives information to anglers to know where there's good fishing in the lake. And so what I did is I took that information, downloaded from their website, did a little cleanup on it, and I built this visualization. And I wanted to talk a little bit how I designed it, some of the tips and tricks that I used in Tableau. But first, I kind of just give an overview of it. This is interactive, so you can select on a particular type of fish, in this case, the bluegill, and it filters the data so that it shows you what particular lakes. The best looks like Houghton Lake here is a really nice lake. And what's nice is that it's interactive across all these visualization elements. So if I click on Houghton Lake, now I can see that a leech still fishing in Houghton Lake is one of the best methods. I can take that off, and if I want to look only for the month of June, which seems to be the best month for catching bluegill in the state of Michigan, or at least large bluegill, I can click on this, and now it tells me that looks like Houghton Lake, Wakeley Lake, Loon Lake are all pretty good lakes. I can see if I select on Loon Lake, looks like Leech is really good there. It looks like maybe Leech is well, here we go. If we go to Long Lake, looks like Crawler is the best. So you can see the two lakes, similar latitude up here, but different kinds of items. And what you can do is you can go through this visualization at the bottom. It shows you a distribution of the length and weight of each fish. So you can kind of see a scatter plot. You can see this red is the state record, which was set in 1983 for bluegill, 32 years since it's been broken. You can see kind of the distribution of all of these other Master Angler Awards, inches and weight of fish compared against the state record. Now, show you something really quick here. I think this is pretty interesting. It illustrates a point that when you start to visualize data, you can start to find potential issues. And this is one thing that I found in the data for the largemouth bass. There was one record in here where the length of the fish was 7.35 inches and the weight was 7.35. It looks like a data entry error where they've put the same weight and length for the fish. And you can see how it falls well outside of the scatter plot. So it starts to highlight some of those data quality issues if there might be some in the particular data. But the reason that I wanted to show this was just the approach to the design. You can see one thing is I thought a little bit about coming up with a name, Fish in the Mitten, try to make this catchy. Mitten, associated with Michigan. I try to use a consistent color scheme, blue kind of associated with water, trying to use the same kind of hues of blue. I added the pictures, and I kept, as much as possible, a consistent font across the document, just so there's a consistent theme or a visual brand or language to this particular visualization. Also, I added data references as a tab, making sure that the images that I used were publicly in the public domain, but also giving reference to what the person was that created the fish documents for the government, and then where I got the data from the Michigan DNR, so that people can kind of know the association of the data, where it came from. But one of the things I wanted to highlight is this concept of designing the viz on paper before you actually just go full into the actual software. Now, I'm not an artist by any means. I wish I was. I would use Illustrator to create some of these icons that I had in mind for trying to make icons for drilling into the data. But I did the best I could on just the graphic design, which I feel I'm decent at. Just a kind of concept of how I'm going to drive the user for this visualization. And my thought was, this is kind of a decision support system. Somebody would start at the top, they'd select the fish, and they would find out, where should I go, what bait should I use, when should I go, what are my chances of catching a state record? Just kind of driving them towards those guided analytics through this long form viz, kind of a infographic style of visualization. Now, if I had some better Photoshop skills or Illustrator skills, I would have created some of these icons in the design. But I wanted to show this mainly. Number one, you don't have to be a good artist at all to put this together, but you can see that for the most part, although I moved things around a little bit, this guided the overall design of the visualization. I wanted to show that just so people know, this is what they see as the end result, but it really starts with a concept, a design that you put down on paper that you execute. But I wanted to show just really quickly a couple things in Tableau, tips and tricks that I like to use. One is related to parameters, parameterization. If you have multiple data sets that you're using to create worksheets, and in those data sets there's one key that you're using. In this particular case, I had data sets related to the state records and master angler, and then also the fish pictures. What I wanted to do is to be able to allow one selection to filter all of those different units, and Tableau doesn't allow that at this point unless you blend or join the data. So what I did is I created this parameter, and I populated this parameter with the names of all the different species of fish. I used that as the main driver, and then what I did is for each one of the data sets, I just created a calculated field. And this calculated field says if the parameter fish species that I created down here is equal to species in the data set, then 1, else 0. And what that allows me to do is to use create that calculation in each data set, referencing the parameter that's available across all the data sets to do the filtering. And you can see here, since I have it filtered only the one that's selected, I'm only seeing catfish, but if I take it to everything, I'm seeing all the different fish in here. The other thing I wanted to show in here is how you can actually use pictures or associate pictures in Tableau. One of the nice things about Tableau is they have the ability to select data with this marks, and they can select shape. If you select on shape, you can see that they have a variety of preloaded values like default, filled, arrows, bars, all these different kind of things. Well, you can also create your own. If you go out here under your My Tableau repository and shapes, you can create your own folder. Like I've created one called fish, and I've dropped these public domain fish images in here and then named them appropriately. And then I associated each one of these pictures to the particular species of fish in the data set, so that when it was selected, it shows up. And I think that's a cool thing in Tableau, to be able to associate pictures with your visualization. So if you're looking at doing like a automotive visualization with cars or whatever, you could pull up the picture of the car along with specs, all that kind of stuff. It makes it really easy to do that just by creating a folder and dropping images in there. And I think it adds a little bit to the visualization. A couple other things on the viz to highlight. I kept the width as 700 just so that it fit really nicely within the browser. I used the long form viz style, kind of an infographic style, where you begin at the top and you work your way down in a guided analytics manner. And then the other thing is just trying to keep the fonts consistent. And in each one of the visualizations, each one of the worksheets, I kind of eliminated the cell colors. I didn't have any borders around it. I tried to make sure that it was appropriately sized so it was easy to see. Just little things that the kind of the knicky-knack things that show the craftsmanship in the visualization. The stuff that really takes a little bit of time, but it's not really hard. It's just the idea of being diligent and trying to clean those things up. But main thing I just wanted to highlight on there in this visualization is the concept of designing it on paper, coming up with a concept before you actually go in and execute in the software. And then the idea of a couple of little things that you can do in Tableau by using that parameters and calculated values and shapes, and creating your own shape library to make your visualization kind of pop a little bit. So this is available out on the Tableau page if you'd like to take a look at it. You can also just search for Fishing in the Mitten. If you'd like to see other visualizations that I've created, I've got a couple of them out there. Feel free to go out. You can actually download them if you have Tableau, and go ahead and take a look at them in Tableau. You can try to improve them, make them better. And if you have any thoughts on how I could have made them better, I'd appreciate it. So a couple things I thought I'd share. Hopefully it's helpful, and I look forward to seeing your vizzes out there on Tableau Public.